Hi everyone, my name is Gloria. I'm a graduating senior this year, obviously, and I did a senior year project on fashion and technology. So at the very beginning of the whole SYP process, I looked into a couple of potential ideas that I could go with, and I wasn't really sure what I really wanted to do. But then I went shopping with my friends, and it was like, this would be fun if I did something related to fashion. And really incorporated different people from the field into my project as well. So I started doing some research on types of technology that existed. I'm the president of the science team, so naturally I wanted to do something related to science and technology as well. And the first couple of things I ran into really interested me, like this project. It's called Gravity of Light, and I don't know if it'll play here. Take a look at this. So this is made by a girl in Korea. And basically it's a hat with different LEDs on the side. Oh.
There's a volume on the front of this.
Okay. But yeah, so for that project, it was called the Gravity of Light, and basically she had this hat with LEDs on the side that whenever she would move, according to the position of her head, the different lights would sort of turn on and flicker off. I thought this really reminded me of gravitropism from biology, and I wanted to do something that incorporated another part of the human body as opposed to the natural force of gravity. So I chose temperature. So that was one of my inspirations. And another one was, this you can find on Amazon.com. It's a light up faucet. And if you run hot water out of the faucet, it'll turn a certain color. And if you run cold water out of the faucet, it'll turn another color. So I thought that was pretty interesting. One of my friends had it in her kitchen, and it was different colored water running out whenever someone would use it. And then this is another project, and it's called the Holy Dress. So it's a dress that punishes, and basically this dress looks really sci-fi-esque, but the girl who invented this dress had the idea that she would use conditioning, a type of psychology thing, to make people want to tell truth or lies. And so whenever someone tells a lie, their human body reactions will be a little bit different. They might get a little bit hotter, get nervous, and it has sensors on this dress that detect these sorts of fluctuations and will start zapping the person whenever they lie. So that's the dress that punishes. It's kind of scary. I don't know if I would want to wear it. And then here's another one from Kickstarter. This is called Glow Threads. And basically for this shirt, it's sort of plain white shirt, but there are these UV pens that you can buy and draw different designs on people at parties, and it's very fun in the dark. So that's a project from Kickstarter. And then Fermentation Fabric from BBC News. So this woman started a project where she would use bacteria and types of alcohol to synthesize fabric. And this is sort of a renewable type of fabric that you can use in basically anything and make clothing. And at the very beginning of my project, I was looking into mood rings and sorts of temperature fluctuation ideas. So how does my project really differentiate itself from these mood rings? Well, mood rings have a type of thermotropic liquid in them that when it detects different temperatures, the crystals sort of alter their shape and give off different types of color. Mine isn't as chemically based, obviously. So for the first part of my project, there was a lot of background and planning, and I knew that I wanted to do multiple aspects of my project. I didn't just want it to be making different types of clothing or having a clothing line specifically, but I incorporated technology with 3D printing and then having the lights and the sort of heat-sensitive technology. So the pictures in the first row you can see are the types of 3D printing that I did. The different designs I made. This one is sort of supposed to be the top half was supposed to be this design as well, but the 3D printer didn't exactly want to cooperate, so it printed this instead. And a lot of other times when I was trying to make 3D prints, like printing these 3D beads, the 3D printer also wasn't very cooperative, so it printed this instead. And when it did that, I made it into a hair clip like this and experimented a little. That was a lot of fun. And then for the LED lighting portion, I got light strips that I put onto the sides of the skirts I made. Oh, uh-oh. And these light strips have little individual LEDs on them, but it's much easier to work with a strip because they're all connected and the wiring is already done on the inside. So I just covered them with pieces of fabric so that the wiring wouldn't show. So that would be very attractive. And with the heat-sensitive technology, I got what are called thermistors, and they're little components that look like this, and you connect wires to the ends of them. And these will detect temperature if you touch them, and it'll turn the LEDs on or off. Oh. And then step 2 is sort of making the design. So originally I kind of sketched out a few. And this part, obtaining the components, so I worked with a girl at MIT's Electronics Engineering Society, and she helped me out a lot. For example, the thermistor that you see on the left up there, it was about this big, and I ordered the wrong one and did that a lot at the beginning. And she also told me things that I shouldn't do, like, oh, when you sweat, there's NaCl in it. Doesn't mean you can put like a metal probe on someone and make them light up. It's not right. And so the component that you see on the left side, that's the Arduino Mini. And this is sort of what you connect to this FTDI chip, and then you can hook it up to a USB drive and plug it into your computer and write code to program it to activate according to certain temperatures. The temperature conversion that I have currently isn't too accurate, so there are still some problems that I have, and I'm playing around with trying to make that better. And so these components can be obtained from SparkFun or Mouser Electronics. And then the 5th step was sort of creating these different garments, pieces of clothing. And I got different types of fabric, like the crochet fabric you see here, for this skirt that I sewed over here. And that type. And there's lace and sort of satin. And then the light strip, when it's fully lit up, that's what it looks like. So these LEDs are separate, and you can turn them on separately, so you can have blue, green, or red, or have them all together, which makes a sort of rainbow strip. And some LEDs you can get so that they're like 3 all together, and you can turn them on individually, but when you put them on all together, they turn white. So there are a lot of variations that you can go for. And then step 5, 6 is like wiring and the different technological components that I put together. So like the battery cells, these use 12 volts, so you have to connect them. And the different sorts of Arduinos that you can play around with. This is Arduino LilyPad, and with this, the little holes on the side are for sewing directly into pieces of clothing. It's actually washable. It's washing machine friendly. But for my project, I was going to put Velcro on the back, like I did with the light component here. You can take it right off so that you can wash the pieces of clothing without putting the lights in the washer. And then the final products. So these are the prototypes. I have better pictures here because you can't really see, but the light strip lights up on the side. And so for my senior year project, I'm not totally done with programming all the pieces that I was going to make, but I got a good head start, I think, on what I wanted to do. And in terms of my project, I've also made a store online to sell pieces of jewelry that I made, such as this one. This is copper. enamel on copper. It's a necklace. And then these earrings, more earrings. And this is like my collection design on Etsy, which is a website where I'm selling my jewelry and accessories. And that's it. And then other future developments that are possible. Kickstarter, for example, is this website where you put almost complete projects online, and people decide to back or fund your project, and you can make tons of money to use towards sort of really developing your project further and then pushing it into the market. And then Local, which is a brand that's looking for emerging designers that they connect with, people at Parsons School of Design. The person that I interviewed for my senior year project, for my paper, was the executive director of a fashion show at Harvard, and he was working with Local a lot and referred me to them. So that's it. Questions? Yes.
Be another question here. I'm not up on all this heat sensitivity kind of stuff, but I was looking at the dress that punishes and these ideas of what you're trying to do in terms of heat sensitivity in clothing. Mm-hmm. Is it possible, based on any of the research, any of your experience doing this stuff, that we could make clothes that could kind of reveal favorable feelings towards people? Like I'm thinking, like in a club or a party, and you approach someone, you would know by how their clothes light up whether you should keep on talking or not. Is that possible?
I was thinking a lot about that, but that's sort of like emotions.
Is it even desirable? You know, we can talk ethics later.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I was also looking at this other project, which is like clothing that disappears. And it's sort of like if you have favorable feelings towards another person, your clothing will slowly start to transform into nothingness. So I think it definitely is.
Right.
I don't know how far we want to go with a project like that.
Me too. I mean, it's where this is going, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like being able to detect what you want more like directly without you actually having to do a lot. Like those Google glasses that are going to let you be able to control, like, you know, I want to see a map or something without actually touching a screen, just thinking it in your head. That's sort of where science is going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh.
I just have more of a logistical question. Is the clothing that you've designed, is it still comfortable to wear? Or are there all these different parts? Where are those different parts? The batteries and the...
Yeah, so like the batteries, originally I was thinking about putting these like huge batteries on them, and then we were like, no, we can slim it down and put little coin cell batteries on. And then like sort of having the light strip is better than having individual LEDs because those are really bulky and big. So I'm trying to slim it down, but at the moment it's still like under development.
Where are the batteries? If I'm wearing that skirt, where is the battery?
Oh, so the battery component is actually supposed to be just like sort of attached onto the back, the lower, like our upper back rather.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned in the abstract Arduinos and thermistors. You mentioned thermistors on thing. I don't know exactly what a thermistor is and what does it do in the circuit.
Okay. So a thermistor looks like this. It's just like a tiny little piece, right? This detects temperature. So if you touch it or if there's like a significant temperature change, then it'll detect it and send a message sort of to the Arduino in the circuit. So the Arduino would be just like connected to a couple of wires. This is a proto board. And on here, like the Arduino is over here. It's on this end.
Change the color of the...
Yeah, it would activate the circuit. So it would sort of act as a like start-stop signal. Yeah.
So then what's your working kind of approach to the stuff you've made so far? Are you trying to make it so that as you get hotter, it's gonna do what? Is it going to blink? Is it going to be red, blue? What are you thinking? Where are you going to take that?
My original idea was when you like get hotter, it'll turn red, and when you start to cool down, it'll like turn blue or turn off, as opposed to like blinking on or off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it'll just like turn on and stay on, and then like fade into another color.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's on your abstract that you interviewed, you know, this Manhattan CEO, this executive producer of Harvard's annual fashion show, and a founder director of Fashion Week. Out of those interviews, what are some things that have just stayed with you? And it can be about your particular thing or about fashion in general, but I'm just curious as to what stayed with you from that really stuck with you from any of those three people.
I think what stuck with me most was the Harvard student that I interviewed. He talked about how over the summer he worked for this, he worked with this fashion company in New York City that was like very upscale, and they had this online store. I think it's called Net-a-Porter, and it's where they were selling these high-end clothes, and everyone at the like company was always dressed up for work and like super fashionable with these like very expensive pieces of clothing that he knew he couldn't really afford because he was a poor, broke college student paying like $50K a year. And so when he was working there, he told me he used to go into like glamorous workplace and be tempted to buy like all the clothes that those people had, and he actually spent a lot of the money that he made on the clothes from the company, so he thinks the company earned more like from him than he earned from it. And he would go back to his like little apartment in the city like and eat cheap rice and beans and drink beer with his friends, like lamenting over how much like life sucked. But yeah, it's sort of like the glitz and glamour of fashion, he said, that really lures people to it. But in the end, they might not even be able to like sort of uphold that lifestyle that they really want to show other people they have. He said that fashion sort of polarizes people, he thinks, in the modern world. Yeah.
What was your biggest obstacle in the whole process of, you know, finding out what you were going to, or investigating what you were going to do, and then coming up with some concrete plans, and then moving forward with your ideas?
I think it was sort of the like actually making the pieces component that was most difficult. I thought that the like interviewing people and like writing my paper, those parts were really fun for me because I got to interact with them and see how they thought and the, you know, very different things that are prevalent in the industry. But yeah, the actual building component was kind of difficult because sometimes I had like not that much of an idea of what I was doing or where I was going to go with it, and then I'd think about it some more and then move on.
How, in what context do you see these these articles of clothing being worn?
Oh, so originally I was thinking that I'd make like nightclub wear for people who want to go partying or whatnot. But now I'm not really too sure. Still sort of in that direction, but like there are these light up shoes too. I see a lot of little kids wearing. They're the ones that like if you stomp, like the shoes will light up on the sides or the bottoms, which would be fun pieces of clothing for kids. So it could go in a lot of directions, I think.
Why are you less sure about it now?
Because I think I've been exposed to a lot more different ideas. Yeah.
Just a quick one.
Okay.
I've always been skeptical. Do mood rings really work?
Mood rings work to the extent that if your temperature is like really different from what it was when you first put it on, it'll turn like a different color. But mood rings don't actually show how you're feeling. There's no like scientific basis for that. It's just temperature differences. Any other questions?